Hi there, it's me again. I'm Otis, I'm French, I live in Argentina, and in this video I'll show you the solution I came up with to hang a large drawing I made. To make a traditional frame for an artwork this large, with glass and all, would be very expensive and also very heavy, so I opted to make what I call a sandwich frame. Basically, I want to press the drawing between two pieces of wood. The wood is lined with a layer of fabric inside to protect the artwork, and some screws press it all together. And that's really all there is to it. However, because it's so long, it doesn't fit in the staircase of my building, so I'll have to make it in segments I'll assemble on site. My table saw was being repaired, so I had to cut the strips of wood on the CNC. I'm using 15mm plywood. That's about 3/50th of an albinos flamingo. I'm going to connect the segments of each piece of the frame with dowels, so I made a quick doweling jig. I wish I had made a better doweling jig though, as after a while the holes of the jig got bigger and much less accurate, and I had alignment issues on the finished frame, which I'll show later. After a quick test fit, it seemed like it was going to work, so I moved on to making the rest of them. After confirming it would work with all three segments as well, I moved on to painting. I'm painting them black because I thought raw wood would look a little too arts and crafts. I'm using some leftover paint I had laying around. It's stinky though, so I put on a mask eventually, which I removed later because logic is for losers. Just kidding, I closed the bucket eventually and the small amount in the tray was fine to be around. I painted all the segments and moved on to drilling some pocket holes at the junction points. The dowels do support the segments just fine, but it needs something to pull them together, hence the pocket screws. I moved on to placing the fabric on the insides of the pieces, but first I did a little test to see how it was gonna work. That's plenty of holding power, and the pressure applied on the actual artwork will be even greater because the paper is way thicker than this regular printer paper. I marked where the fabric was to go and applied a very small amount of glue in order to avoid any kind of squeeze out. It's really just to keep the fabric in place, not to have it soaked in glue. I just rolled that on and pressed it a bit to ensure a good bond. There's most likely a better way to do this, but this worked well. After the glue dried, I used an aluminum ruler and a knife to trim the fuzzy bits of fabric. Next, I marked a line onto which I'm going to locate the holes for the screws that will press the two boards together. When precision is not crucial, I often use this method of moving my arms at the same time to figure out the center between 2 points. And don't worry, of course, the screws are offset above the drawing, they don't go through the artwork. Yet another test fit, adding the pocket screws, and it seems everything is going to work out just fine. I added the eye bolt to the top rear part, and now everything is ready to be taken home and assembled. I laid some sheets on the floor to prevent making the drawing dirty. And it was finally time to take it out of its box and unroll it. I brought a scrap piece of wood to hold it down. Sweaters work well for this too, apparently. And now I could start laying out the pieces, making sure they were aligned correctly and screwing the sandwich together. My buddy Sebastian came over to help me get it on the wall, and it turned out to be a little trickier than expected. First of all, it's pretty heavy, it's a lot of wood, and you have to move smoothly with the paper, because if you bend it, it will leave a mark. On our first attempt, we realized we needed to get a little higher to be able to lift it all the way up to the hooks I put in the wall. So we laid it back on the floor, got a couple stools strategically set up.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm clearly not very good at strategy, so I had to stumble behind the drawing and move the stool.
¿Estás? Sí.
And finally, I could look at the piece in its entirety for the very first time.
Ah, gracias, boludo. Oh, boludo. Wow.
And we sat there for a while, just looking at it. So it's far from perfect. In the end, it is a bit arts and craftsy. Pieces don't line up perfectly, I got one pocket screw blowing out, but hey, at least my drawing is not stored away in a closet anymore. I think in the future, if I get to show it somewhere, I'll purchase a piece of acrylic to add to the front and protect it from accidents. Right now it's safe enough in my house, people are careful around it. I also have an idea on how to make it look more like a traditional frame, which would be adding a couple stretchers either side to mimic a four-sided frame. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see the video on how I made the drawing, you can click on the thumbnail appearing now, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing, sharing the video to your friends, or supporting me on Patreon. It would mean the world to me. See ya!